Welcome to Was It Good, the 2022 summer edition, where we're going to check out what's come out, what we've liked, and what we're looking forward to this summer. I'm Ravi, joined by
Arjuna
and
Krishna. Me. That's me.
beautiful. It's so much harder when we do this completely remote.
Yup. it's been so long we've forgotten how to speak.
What
on
is
the podcast.
It's funny
Concept.
because we always like before we start recording the pod, we always like shoot the shit for a minute, and those conversations are usually kind of that would be a was it good after dark, after dark, and probably should never ever be listened to or ever recorded. But
That's the good stuff, though.
Yeah, but we're really good at like talking and making it not awkward, and then we do the pod and it's like deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
Hi.
You forget how to speak words fluently.
Sentences. Anyway, before we kind of just start talking and rambling here, just a quick, I think, overview summary of what we're going to be talking about. Currently, as the taping of this pod, we are halfway through the summer. We've, completed Miss Marvel. We've all seen Thor 4, Thor Love and Thunder. The Boys Season 3, we've all watched and wrapped on that. And then Stranger Things Season 4, Volumes 1 and 2 are also done. And then, I think it would be kind of fun as well, guys, that if we talk about the other weird things that we've watched this summer and try and sell the other people on potentially getting you guys to, watch what other weird, crappy things we've all looked at, and then kind of preview what's to come, and great things like Nope and whatnot. So where do you guys want to start? Because I just listed a ton of things. And
Maybe start with Marvel, since we've got that, half of what we've seen, it seems like.
Yes, that's true. A Marvel TV show and a Marvel movie.
Yes.
So obviously that's Miss Marvel and Thor Love and Thunder. I want to start the conversation off kind of interestingly where, if you look at Rotten Tomatoes as of the taping of this pod, Miss Marvel stands at a higher overall rating, both critics and user-generated score. And Thor is, what would you say, average when it comes to like a Marvel movie?
It's pretty below average. It's in the 60s, right? Which is fairly low for the MCU movies. There's only I think only 2 movies are rotten, which is Eternals and Dark World, potentially.
Should be a lot more than that.
This is like on the lower. Yeah, but like I think everyone understands that like people, critics especially were in like the Disney bag for a while of just being like, this is great.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Are we in the Disney bag? Are we getting paid to do positive reviews? We're not at that level yet, are we?
No, and I don't even think like anyone's bread and butter technically comes from the machine. So we are almost 100% clean.
Disney free.
We're clean podcasters.
Clean
But it is
AF.
interesting because I think like this movie and the series in particular, because some of the reported viewing numbers for Miss Marvel are one of the lowest. It's the lowest watched Marvel Disney Plus show. And it seems like a lot of the social conversation has been Marvel fatigue, right? There's this, this is pretty much Thor is like the halfway point movie-wise through Phase 4. And, a lot of people are like, where's this phase going? When are these movies going to get better, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a larger conversation to be had in terms of the Marvel of it all. I will let our host decide.
Yeah, I will say there's actually a really good reason, another reason why Miss Marvel's numbers are so low. It came out at the same fucking time as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was competing with established IP.
Yeah.
Right?
It was
like
better.
there was no way it was going to win that
own
war.
thing. Its own
On its own platform.
platform. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so it was doomed from the start.
Here's a hot take that nobody asked for. We've had Disney Plus for almost 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. It kicked off sometime in January 2021. And,
No, before that.
Before that. Yeah, you're right. Before that.
Mandalorian was 2020.
Yep. So, we've had the thing for over 2 years, or close to 2 years. I would say that besides The Mandalorian and a couple of sprinkles of other things like Miss Marvel, overall the Disney Plus platform has not been that good. Like, it's pumped out a lot of content, but most of that content is just filler crap. Especially especially when you come to the MCU, there was someone did the math where phase 1, 2, and 3 is something like
IGN.
Yeah, like something like 30 hours. It took 10 years to get 30 hours of content. It took 10 years to get to that point. In phase 4, you've got all these movies, all these TV shows, and there's something like 55 hours of content in the course of a year and a half, 2 years, whatever. And I would argue majority of that content and that viewing experience is garbage and filler.
Subpar.
Very
I mean,
subpar.
It's hard to have quality and quantity. And I mean, I feel like if we go back and look at our episodes from when Disney Plus was coming out, I think that was one of our concerns, was that clearly the platform is being made for quantity and exclusive quantity. You're going to have to get Disney Plus to see the Disney empire, right? To continue being plugged into those worlds. And I think that was a concern of ours, is like, how much is the quality going to suffer now that it always was a money making machine, but now it really is. Like, there's no hiding that fact, right? So not surprising, unfortunately.
I think it's oversaturated too, right? It's the look. This is the superhero movies are something that, and superhero content is something that we've all loved for a long time. But like, you guys remember the days when a Spider-Man movie came out every 3 or 4 years, and you had years in between anything even
else,
related to that stuff. So, and Marvel is not the only superhero machine, right? You still have DC, you still have Amazon doing, The Boys, Invincible, other superhero content. So there's so much more competition, and because you're producing so much more, you when things are average or when things aren't as good, there's not a lot of time to like sit with it, and then you move on to the next thing, right? And then I think what's interesting about this phase is people are like waxing poetic about like, man, in the first 3 phases of Marvel, like these movies weren't this bad. It's like, well, actually they were. Like, there were some really bad movies in there. You just kind of forget about them because you had these bigger inflection points. There was more time in between some of these movies and whatnot, versus it's basically been since WandaVision premiered in January of 2021. We have not had a Marvel break, right? It's really literally been weeks between releases of things. It's just been from one show to a movie to show and a movie for over a year and a half now. And I think because Marvel in particular is part of that conversation, anything that is average sticks out more and more, and it builds momentum, right? Instead of like, oh, we get Thor: The Dark World, and then we wait a year later and we get another movie. Even if it's not as good, that momentum of it being bad or average, it wanes a little bit, versus like, look, we just had Moon Knight, right? And Moon Knight was kind of like, whatever.
It started strong, but it definitely fell flat on its face.
Yeah, it ended in a place that the conversation around it wasn't positive. And then you have Miss Marvel, which also has had mixed reviews, and so that conversation gains more momentum because you haven't had these types of breaks in between.
The craziest thing I think I've seen when it comes to looking at Thor: Love and Thunder are people saying that Thor: The Dark World, so the second Thor, is actually a better movie than the fourth one. Which
absurd.
It's insane.
Absurd.
It's insane. I started to rewatch the second one and I couldn't. It's bad. It does not
the
age
second one
well.
is so bad.
It's
Everyone
very
knows
stupid.
the greatest Thor movie is Thor 1 because Kenneth Branagh and his Dutch ankles.
I mean, the first one was pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
No, it actually isn't. It isn't horrible.
Well, it's a Paramount movie as well. It's not
That
Disney.
is, yeah. It was pre Disney acquisition. The most of Phase 1 is Paramount, which is actually fascinating to go back and watch because it's like it's a different
Has
style.
anyone
it's a
tried
different feel.
rewatching the first Avengers? It's painful.
Several times.
It is very.
The first half is not
terrible.
great, but the second half is great.
Wonderful. The first half is just such an insanely long, bad pacing build up.
That's
But now people go back and are like, Avengers, like the first Avengers is one of the best MCU movies.
Bullshit.
Like you just wax poetic about it because of those like inflection points. But movies, it's interesting, right? It's interesting how kind of tastes and everything kind of changes over time. You know, like some people who loved Avengers back then might not love it now, especially when you compare it to like other Avengers movies and how expectations change and whatnot. Is that right? Is that wrong? I'm not sure, but I think that is interesting because it's like I think the other big criticism is people are like, what is the guiding star? What are we building up towards, right? And you kind of had that you had that guidance for the first three phases, right? The first Iron Man ends with, you know, I've come to recruit you to the Avengers Initiative, so you kind of knew that these characters are building into the Avengers. And you got the Avengers movie, and you had Thanos, and people, you know, for those who weren't aware, people explain like this guy is the big bad and is gonna do like, you know, gather these Infinity Stones and, you know, basically destroy the universe. You haven't necessarily had that yet for these movies, and it's interesting. People are just kind of impatient. They're like, where's this all leading to?
But again, to your point though, we've had so much content, and it is like we were just watching this content for the sake of watching this content. When this Marvel Cinematic Universe was created to create this connected thing. Like another, I think, interesting point that was made about Ms. Marvel, and it goes back to my whole thing with everything from the Eternals. You know, in Eternals, it ends with two big Earth-wide shattering fucking events. A gigantic creature is frozen somewhere on the planet and just sticking out, and a big fucking thing appeared in the sky, and there's no mention of it anywhere. And it's like, what the fuck?
Has that happened yet in any of the movies that we've seen?
We're not sure. I don't think it's definitive.
Also, at this point, we have Asgardians just like giving tours, and like it's a lot of, you know, like, are we really at the point where we're still like, hey, there's this god thing in the sky? Like, yeah, I know, I've got these gods in my backyard. Like, but I want to ask real quick. Arjuna said something interesting that I wonder doesn't unravel the entire universe. He said some people who like Avengers when it came out may not like it, and some who didn't like it may like it, and that views of it change depending on the person. Does that mean there is no good or bad? Because if even your own perspective changes, despite the movie being always what it was and never changing.
So I think that's how you get cult classics and like cult followings for movies, is because the perspective changes. And not only does this perspective change, but, you know, depending on who is in the room and who is the loudest in the room and who can make the most coherent points, you can get a following and you can warp the view of individuals. But going back to your question of is a movie good or bad, I think it ultimately depends on when it's released, what's happening in the world.
And what you guys say at the end of the podcast.
And what we all say at the end of this pod.
What we declare.
Yeah, what we've declared is fact, even though some of us change our minds wildly on things.
Sometimes movies are like ahead of their time. Right?
Yes, yeah.
I think, and I'm going to say this, I think Age of Ultron was a little bit ahead of its time.
Big time.
In the way that it was shot.
Yeah.
The way that it was shot and a lot of that stuff. I don't think the world was ready for that kind of a viewing experience, because I would say the first Avengers suffers, right? That was made for a different time. And Age of Ultron has gotten better. And I think it's because how we view content has changed, or the things that we expect from more modern movies.
Well, it's not.
So I think that's part of it too.
It's not just that, though. It's also the fact that with Age of Ultron, there's also been so much other added-on content and world building.
Absolutely.
One of the things, you know, we're jumping all over the place here. Like, this is supposed to be more, obviously, of a summer guide of why you should check out this, this, and this, and these are our views. But it's turned more into, I mean, personally, I think this is a better conversation to be had anyway.
It's more
about
MCU Phase 4
yeah,
than
more
it
Phase
is
4.
Phase 2.
But one of the things with, like, Phase 4 and, like, you know, when this pod drops, it will be a couple of days before Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. We know that Marvel and Kevin Feige are having some big panel in Hall H at San Diego. The big theories running around are, you know, the big reveal of the point of Phase 4 is going to be revealed. A lot of people are pointing at, you know, Secret Wars. The Russo brothers were recently on a red carpet for their new Netflix movie, The Gray Man. starring
Great
Ryan,
Man.
yeah, starring Ryan Gosling and
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. And one of the questions they were asked on the red carpet was, hey, would you guys be up for directing a Secret Wars? And they had mentioned, that'd be a very difficult, big undertaking in order to do. So a lot of people are thinking, Secret Wars is kind of where Phase 4 or maybe Phase 5 or whatever, that's what we're leading towards. And it's interesting because we are truly leading into the idea of Secret Wars, which, just a quick one-sentence recap of it, the big thing with Secret Wars is that there are characters that were replaced by the alien race, and somebody help me here. Is it the Skrull or the Kree? I always get them confused.
Skrulls.
But basically, it's also about the Skrull versus the Krees, two gigantic alien civilizations at war in the galaxy. A lot of superheroes are replaced by their alien-like counterparts. And why that is interesting is because it is very possible that all of these shows, all of this content, all of it relates to it, and there have been weird Easter eggs left in those shows. And it's possible that you go back and you watch something as bad as Falcon the Winter Soldier, and it turns out that was never Bucky, or that was never what's the
Falcon?
agent
Another
Agent
memorable
Carter.
character
Yeah,
from
whatever
that
other
show.
character that I can't remember.
Kingpin. It definitely wasn't Kingpin in the Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, that's our favorite theory.
Like there's a lot of
I mean, that's the easy one.
and again, to
Yeah.
the point of why I think Avengers, the first one, doesn't age as well. It's like Age of Ultron. It's the whole world building. When the first Avengers came out, there was a loose plan. By Age of Ultron, there was a better plan. Maybe there is a plan in play. Who knows?
What if there isn't one? What if Phase 1 and all that 10 years was like, we want to get you hooked with this point, and now, like comic books, we just spread all over and make something for everyone, and there is no specific point anymore?
I think that's fine too, because I mean, tying things back into to Thor: Love and Thunder and Miss Marvel. I personally loved Miss Marvel, and we started this new thing on the pod where we call it qualifiers, if I remember correctly. Yeah, qualifiers, and one of my main qualifiers was the art direction of Miss Marvel. If they lose it by the end, which they kind of did, they did a little bit to a degree.
They toned it down.
They definitely toned it down, but overall,
The middle episodes had none of it. Yeah.
yeah, but overall, the style, the themes, the feelings that you got from the show, it was very cohesive. My biggest fear was that finale was going to be the generic. There was the big battle, sure, but it didn't feel like a Falcon Winter Soldier or a WandaVision finale where it was very big, epic battle, big explosions, and blah, blah, blah. It did feel like a lot better. So, yeah, Miss Marvel to me was great.
Yeah, I think to Ravi's point, it's make good content. I think that's the biggest thing. It's worry about the connectivity. It's just can you make actual
Content that's
entertaining, good,
Cohesive.
coherent, cohesive content within each of these buckets? And despite all of the conversation of Phase 4 is really long and there's a lot of stuff, it's none of that matters if it's good, right? And I think that's I think we just want to get to a point where it's good. And they've had, I think, a lot of misses, but they've also had some good things in there. I really liked Shang-Chi when it came out in September. I thought that was one of the better Marvel movies I've seen in recent years. And I want to go back and watch Eternals, but I did like some of the creative choices that they made in that movie, where it felt at least a little different from the Marvel kind of generic train. And we'll get into Miss Marvel, but there's a lot to like about Miss Marvel.
I mean, hands down, favorite part has to be Bruno saying, the big reveal with, oh, it's not just the bangle, not just the weird stuff, and you're also a mutant. And then we hear the 90s X-Men theme in the background.
No, you're wrong. The best part of that show was the fight scene in the kitchen to Bon Jovi. Easily the best part of the show. That was great.
No, I think the best part was
of the show was the dad dressing up as Hulk.
That was also a good
first episode.
No, the best
Also
part.
excellent.
Honestly, the best
Also
part was the music choices that they used. I will say this. I'm glad that our parents tortured us with classic Bollywood songs.
Some Bollywood stuff.
Because I could easily watch this show and be like, oh, that's that song that mom would play every goddamn Sunday. I have. Oh God, yuck.
PTSD
But they
kicks
like
in.
they updated it a little bit, so I was like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm one of the cool
cool.
kids. Yeah, yeah.
I liked the beginning of the whole school sequence where the damage control kind of walks in and they think it's a bomb and it's just an MP3
Oh my
player
God,
playing
yeah.
the song, and then like the disco ball just
Yeah.
kind of drops down. I thought that was great.
I thought overall, I mean, we talked about it, I think, when we first did like our intro pod for Miss Marvel. One of the big things, us being immigrants to this country, the relatability of this character, I thought made it really interesting. One question I have for you two, though. Is Miss Marvel, who's the core audience for Miss Marvel? What age group do you guys think? I don't actually have, like, this is the official answer. I'm just more curious. Who do you think the show is actually geared towards? Is it geared towards the millennial group, like our age group, or do you think it's supposed to be for a younger generation, like, the kids that would wake up, kids that wake up on Saturday and watch Saturday morning cartoons?
Like Gen Z?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's more Gen Z.
Agreed. Which I think that's interesting because because a lot of the things in the show are issues that Gen Z is dealing with, right? I mean, we all are, but specifically people in high school and those issues that high schoolers are dealing with right now, which is actually even more surprising because I also really enjoyed the show. So it is interesting that we all enjoyed it, even though it was maybe made for a younger audience. But yeah, I definitely think it's Gen Z.
Yeah, I think the show is like specifically built for Gen Z because Gen Z in particular is going through this transition of blended cultures, dealing with a lot of different generations, and I think we relate to that because obviously, as Ravi stated, like we were immigrants, and like Kamala's journey, she's not American enough for her, living in New Jersey, and she's not Pakistani enough when she's in Pakistan. She's not Muslim enough in the mosque, et cetera, et cetera. She's not superhero-y enough to be a superhero. I think we went through that in a lot of ways, right? We weren't like British enough to be British. We weren't American enough to be American. We weren't Indian enough to be Indian. We weren't Guyanese enough to be Guyanese.
And we weren't superhero enough to be superheroes either.
Yeah,
you are now.
exactly.
We tried.
So so I
we were
think that's what at least for me, like that's what I really related to. Like that's what made the character super relatable. And it was nice to like have some of that representation within a character that's similar to you, in a lot of ways. But I thought like our producer Michael mentioned this before recording, but like something that really sold the series and I think really helped it was they focused a lot on the family, and they really did an amazing job casting the parents of Kamala and having them like really shine in a lot of scenes. And I thought those were like the big inflection points. And when I think back to the show, like those scenes between her mom and her dad specifically are always going to stick out to me because I thought that was the heart of the show. The best part of the show was the family dynamic, not necessarily like the superhero origins or the superhero powers, but that stuff in particular.
Agreed.
Christian, I agree. Let's real quick though. So obviously, like, I think we all definitely, obviously, really like the show. I think the answer of was Miss Marvel good? I think it's a resounding yes. I don't think we need to run around the horn. But what I'm kind of curious about, there's always the after credit scenes, the setups that they've kind of left for what's going to happen next. Like Kamran is an interesting one where he's now in Pakistan with the Red Daggers, so that's what's going to happen there. He has powers as well, just like similar to what Miss Marvel has. And then obviously the big one is we see Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, pop in with a new hairstyle. I think that's important to recognize. She has a new hairstyle. It's kind of this weird like Skrillex.
Are you implying something with that?
Well,
scroll?
Well, what's interesting though is like a lot of people like did a side-by-side
Skrillex.
comparison of Carol Danvers at the end of Shang-Chi's after credit scenes where she's a hologram talking with Wong, Bruce Banner, and Shang-Chi, and her hairstyle is a little bit different than what we see there at the end of Miss Marvel. So some are again, I don't know. We still don't have, I think, a clear idea of the timeline of things. but the hairstyle is different. That's all I'm saying. I don't know what it means. It's different.
I think that's just different I mean, this is like the fourth director that's like directed
Yeah, it's true.
Brie
That's very
Larson
true.
in this character. Between the first director of Captain Marvel, the Russos in the Infinity Wars, the director of Shang-Chi, the director of this, and then the director of the Marvels movie. There's a lot of different filmmakers handling this character, and that's just one of the things that gets to change. I
she's a
suppose, in
Skrull.
between.
No,
Well,
Ravi nailed it. She's a Skrull.
I don't think necessarily she might be a Skrull, and to Christian's point, why that works, that she is a Skrull, is because remember earlier on in the show when Kamala's great grandmother is they're hunting down the Bengal. One of the
Her
characters
grandmother,
mentions that there needs to be 2 Bengals, right? And they only had the one. So the theory that I think is floating out there is that obviously this Carol Danvers, whether she is her or a Skrull, was interacting with this other Bengal, and that's what kind of allowed them to teleport. Because the last time we saw the Bengals interacting with each other was the time jump that Kamala does when she is in she goes back in time to save her grandmother with the light and everything.
Great-grandmother.
So the Bengals, even though there needs to be actually, now that I'm saying this, maybe this Carol Danvers is actually from another time.
Well,
As opposed
Or a
to
multiverse.
Interesting.
or it could be a multiverse thing. Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I
when
don't
she
know.
went back in time,
You gotta throw out the buzzwords.
She's a clone.
Oh no.
Guys, if you want to see a lot of clones, here's a spoiler. Go watch Resident Evil. Great clones. Anyway.
so the other bangle is the 10 rings, right? Like, so Danvers was in that meeting and she like touched the 10 rings, and now she switched out with.
Maybe.
I'm kidding. Of
I mean,
course,
we
but-
don't know. Like again, we don't. Yeah, we just don't know. I mean, the other thing
a lot
with
of
the 10
jewelry
rings,
in
though,
this
is
phase.
when they're
the
looking
jewelry phase.
when they're looking for the Bengals, there's a top-down shot, and you can actually see the 10 rings on the ground in the temple that
No kidding?
they're getting the Bengal from. So there is.
Wait, really?
Yes, there is.
Yeah,
some
the 10 ring symbol
connection.
is there.
Yeah.
There's definitely like the green or the blue alien or arm or whatever, which is definitely Kree.
Yep.
Wait. Quick question.
Sure.
How many Eternals are there?
I don't know.
There's a lot. There's more than
Wasn't
10. There's more than 10.
Yeah.
There's like
There's more
26
than that.
or
There's
something.
that's
I
how many
looked
were
it up when
on. That's how
Eternals
many were
came out.
on Earth. But
Yeah.
There's
That's how
there's
many
a
that were
bunch.
on Earth where the 10 rings live. Coincidence? I don't know.
Who knows?
Just go through all the buzzwords.
Well, I mean,
Buzzwords.
I think
Scroll.
Marvel. I think I think Marvel has left all this stuff loose enough where
They could do
if-
anything.
They could do anything. They can incorporate as much or as little as they want, right? They've given themselves the flexibility where we're like, oh, Eternals kind of bombed at the theaters, right? So it's like, if they so chose to, they could be like,
Scrap
we'll
it.
never do anything with the Eternals again, and we can wrap up the whole Celestial thing, with some throwaway line or erase it
Cameo
or
in
whatever,
Thor.
Yeah, because like even like I even think this was always been on my mind with Doctor Strange and then Multiverse of Madness, right? The first Doctor Strange ends with Mordo, killing one of the other
Magical people.
magical people, right?
Benjamin
and going
Bratt.
on this kind of he kills him, right? He's like, I'm gonna kill these people, and then like by the sequel, we never see the Mordo from Earth 616. We only see a different version. So it's like they didn't necessarily they changed. I think where they were probably gonna go with that for the sequel into that. So I think there's always a loose kind of.
It's loosey goose.
It's a loose. It's loose. There's multiple ways. Think of like White Vision from WandaVision, right? Like
What's he doing?
he flew
Yeah.
he flew away. They could do anything. He could never come back if they really wanted to. Like,
Well, I
just
mean,
be like, he flew away.
The best example of this we are now at the point where sure you can look at the comics to get some kind of reference material, but they are so far away now, I think, from what the comics' influence on the MCU is. I mean, Miss
a different
Marvel,
thing.
right? I think we mentioned this in the last pod. Miss Marvel was created, when the MCU was getting started, right? And now she's
She
already
was-
part of
yeah.
it. And then the
So
other
it's-
big thing is like Miss Marvel in the comics was an Inhuman because that was the big comic push as they're building the Inhuman arc. And now there is no mention of her being an Inhuman. She's a mutant.
So
Hi,
the
Christian.
comic. The comic creators specifically were giving interviews, and they said when when this version of Miss Marvel, when they were writing it, they had wanted to make her a mutant, but because Marvel had pushed the Inhuman thing, they made her an Inhuman. So it's almost like everyone's like,
Retconning
they
the
changed her.
retcon?
Right, they changed her to a mutant. And the comic book creators were like, no, this is actually what we wanted all along. So it's like
Well, Christian,
actually kind of fascinating
it can't
to see
be-
that multimedia.
Yeah, it can't be a
change.
retcon because MCU is its own separate thing from the
No. I
comics.
know. It's more tongue in cheek. Like the comics retcon the character that they wanted to do. Yeah, you're right. Retcon isn't the right word.
Pre-retconned.
Yeah,
Pre-conned.
Pre-con.
Incepticon.
They pre-conned it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. They just righting a wrong with the show, basically.
They right a lot of wrongs in the MCU. Oh,
They sure do.
WRITE.
That's why we love it.
Anyway, so that's Miss
Oh yeah,
Marvel.
Robert Downey Jr. He never died. He's
Yeah,
been alive
he's
the
back.
whole time.
Thor: Love and Thunder. Obviously, we definitely liked Miss Marvel, but Thor: Love and Thunder, I think, will be an interesting one when we get to the question of was it good. Let's start, I think, right off the bat here. New Asgard, the greatest Disneyland, I think, ever created.
Yes.
Oh man, Infinity Cones.
Infinity Cones. A lot. So here's the thing that's insane. A lot of people were upset by the Infinity Cones.
I mean, that's pretty dark. That's like, I mean, like this is an event that like killed half the universe, which I know they undid, but it's still, it's like a tragedy that happened.
Yeah, for 5 years, and then they undid it, so it's fine. You can make fun of it now.
Well, people deal with tragedy in a lot of different ways, and humor
Yeah.
and whatnot is one of them. I know that's how I do it.
Same. Dark humor is the way to go.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
not to
profiting.
give therapy here, but that's how everyone should deal with it.
Yep. The darker, the better.
Yeah, get some Infinity Cones.
Exactly.
Wow.
You're feeling upset? Have an Infinity Cone.
Yeah, just make ice cream out of whatever depresses you.
It's a good idea. I love that.
Anyway, New Asgard, that's kind of weird. And the other big kind of like criticism I was seeing with the Thor movie was that it was too Marvel with tongue-in-cheek and jokes. But hasn't that been the MCU since the beginning?
And
Haven't
Taika.
we always
Iron
had
Man
the...
1.
Yeah. So that felt like a really stupid comment as well.
I saw a lot of people complaining, and I think this is just like the larger Taika criticism that seems to be, going around recently. But the dumbing down of Thor was a big complaint from people for whatever reason. It just felt like Thor was made dumber and et cetera, et cetera. I'm
The
like, well,
great
this is
sign.
More dumber than Ragnarok and Infinity War and Endgame. Like he seemed on par with those to me, at least. I don't
understand that criticism either. Like Thor has never been... He has never been, okay, guys, let's sit down and go over the plan and be in depth, and also let's talk about science.
He's a walking muscle.
Yeah.
Right,
And
walking
that-
muscle. He's not a brain.
And
He's a
even
muscle.
even to the early Thor days, like they had some of that humor in the very first Thor. Like
Yeah, the smashing of the glass,
the diner
another-
scene where he's like
Yeah.
another. You know what I mean? Like he's always been kind of this aloof personality where he's a fish out of water, within the Earth customs. And if I think anything, the later movies he's become like a little bit smarter in terms of like what that stuff is, but still kind of like, aloofy Thor. They've just leaned into it more, which is, I think, the correct way to do it. It's just far more interesting character than him being like in the Age of Ultron pool of thunder with the Infinity Stone visions, the lowest point of Thor.
Yeah,
in
if
my
anything, they've made him better over time and
Yeah.
just kept the dumb brute thing about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's what worked for
Again,
him.
it's very silly like criticism, but I think part of that criticism though comes because of, to a degree, like Taika has said a couple of things that probably not the best things to say in a public.
What did he say?
The big one was I can't remember if it was Variety or Vanity. There's a video clip out there where him and Tessa Thompson are looking at stills from Love and Thunder, and there's a picture of Korg, the rock character, and Tessa Thompson says something, and I'm paraphrasing here, says something along the lines of like, "Oh, Korg looks a little weird or goofy," and Taika takes it a step further and says, "Yeah, he just doesn't look good." right? So basically,
weird.
I mean, and the thing is, like, he's the director of this film. He's the one that spent probably a
It's his
good
movie.
year plus of his life on this.
It's his character.
And he's basically like a lot of VFX artists didn't take kindly to that. And then after that, a lot of articles and a lot of VFX coordinators and artists came out saying that Marvel is one of the worst clients to work for because their timelines are ever changing. Their scheduling is very, very quick, very fast turnaround.
Their fans are overly critical.
Well, I mean, the fans should be overcritical because, like what we said at the beginning of this pod, like 55 hours of content in a year and a half, and yeah, like somebody has to sit there and animate all these things, and yeah, they have, they're going for quantity over quality, and now it's starting to bite them in the butt. So,
Right,
Yeah.
and it's unfair to the VFX artists that kind of get thrown under the bus there. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's, you can only do so much within a certain amount of time. Like we're all creatives. Like you can't just like, shit out something really quickly and expect it to be good. Like that's
it's not going to be the best it can be.
right.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's
so
still
like
kinda cool.
yeah, it's tough.
I mean, sure, it's cool, but like the thing that's also kind of thing, especially to like the VFX like comments and everything, is like Marvel is also now taking the stance of updating their VFX even if the final film is out in theaters.
Oh wait, really?
The big one is Spider-Man No Way Home. The original like I think it was in the first week or two, what you see there when you have, I think, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man jumping through the portal, that VFX that product there to what is actually been released on digital and stuff, or even the following weeks, they recut it or they redid it.
They did.
They redid it, and that was
I
like
didn't know.
that was a big thing where you had people going and rewatching the movie 15 times.
The
and were
George Lucas in it.
taking pictures and stuff.
And
they were able to see the
Stranger
comparison.
Stranger Things, season 4, volume 2 did a similar thing because they were still finishing up the VFX when it came out, and people who watched it at midnight versus like people who watched it the next morning, there was different VFX because they were still like updating it as it was coming out. So it's become more of a norm, it seems like, to just like get out V1 when you absolutely have to, but then also like continue to work on it because there is such a backlog, right? It's so demanding right now. There's so much we've never been in a more content-rich time of our lives, and there's only so much you can actually do.
What
It's
a time to
almost
be a
like
creator.
It's like Hollywood and like the MCU. They went over to India and they were like, "Oh, there's this thing called Bollywood. They put out how many movies a year? 500? Oh yeah, let's just copy that model because that's a great idea."
Yeah,
And,
I
like,
mean,
but- and I bring up
each
Bollywood,
studio
though-
acts like it's Hollywood. Like
I mean,
that's
yeah,
essentially what it is. Yeah.
And like I bring up Bollywood as a really good example because Bollywood is like notorious for hilarious VFX. Like it's to the point where they embrace the like silliness of it sometimes, where you have like a cop jumping through the sky,
I love
and
it.
it's clearly like a still image, and someone's just keyframing it. Like,
RRR, have we watched that yet? I know that's off topic, but anyway, never mind. Forget I said it. But I did want to say on Thor 4, the thing that stuck out to me is the opposite of the effects, is that the real costumes. They had real costumes on them, and they looked weird because they were real, and they folded in real ways.
well, they
They weren't
Except for
CG.
the
We're
masks.
so used to CG costumes.
Yeah, like that
Potentially,
stuck
yeah.
out to me is Thor's costume towards the end, right?
Yeah.
Like he's got like you could see the folds in the arms. They weren't like directly on his muscles or anything, and I thought that was kind of interesting and weird.
Speaking of muscles, I can't get to the. I mean, I've not done any research on this. So it's not like I guess really care, but like also saw a whole thing about Natalie Portman's arms and that they were digitally enhanced. Has anyone actually looked into it? Is that actually true?
No
Did she
woman
actually-
can get that strong. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Jesus Christ.
And we're canceled. No.
Well, I
no,
know-
I
I
have
mean-
not looked into that.
I know she actually did like put on some muscle mass because there were pictures. I remember like last year it came out of like
Yeah.
showing like a buff Natalie Portman at the grocery store. But I do know they they built a lot of stages to make her taller because she's only 5'3", and then I don't know if you all noticed when she turns into Thor, she's like almost the same height as Hemsworth because they made her 6 foot. So they like built. She talked about like they built like all these elaborate platforms like within the sets of like so she could like walk next to him essentially and be like the same height and everything, which is pretty cool.
I wonder if they like follow like the what they did for the Hobbit, or not the Hobbit, excuse me, Lord of the Rings, when they did forced perspective to show the hobbits being a lot smaller than like Gandalf and stuff.
All
For the
supersets.
longest time as a kid, I really thought Elijah Wood and Sean Austin were just really, really short.
Wow.
I mean, they are.
They are.
They're not the tallest guys.
Yeah,
right?
but they're not Hobbit size.
I thought they were. I was, the first Lord of the Rings came
3.5
out, I was
feet tall.
9.
So-
I was like, yeah.
Real quick,
Wow.
before we get into that question, we haven't talked at all about the greatest actor of our time, Christian Bale, playing Gore, the God Butcher, who only killed one god for some fucking reason. And
Well, they cut. So I don't know if you've heard about
the Taika
the
cut.
first cut, the Taika cut, which was 4 hours. They've talked about how there are a lot of scenes cut out, including like Peter Dinklage's like dwarf god, super large god character coming back, the Grand Master coming back. A few other actors and actresses that were supposed to cameo. Like a lot of those scenes, basically they cut out a lot of Gore killing gods. Like there was a whole bunch of scenes of him doing that they kind of cut out, which people are a little upset about. They're like, why did you cut this stuff out to do that? And people were like, maybe it was too violent, maybe it was too dark, and Disney didn't want to go there. I'm not sure.
No, you make that movie too long.
I mean,
It's under 2 hours.
If I was gonna get more Gore
Good
the God Butcher, like butchering gods, and I mean,
5 times facts.
that's like that for me. Honestly, that was like the big selling point, was the fact, like, as soon as I heard Christian Bale was playing Gore, I was like, oh, I'm all in it. Like, the scenes that we got, he was definitely creepy. He was definitely like, I think Christian Bale did a great job. Unfortunately, I think he outacted everybody else, which is fine. I think that's fine. It's whatever. It's the typical Marvel problem where I'm more interested in the fucking villain than the goddamn like superhero.
I thought Hemsworth and Natalie Portman did a good job.
I think their dynamic
they were
together was interesting, but there was it was a little too much of like, it was a little too much of their like, especially like when we were doing the flashback sequences when they were, a couple, and Korg's like,
That was great. I loved that.
I thought it could have been a little bit shorter or quicker.
It was great.
A little more.
I mean, the
gore-butchering.
best dynamic in
Yes.
the movie is obviously it's Thor, the hammer, and the axe.
Oh yeah, that was great.
the hammer and the axe stole the movie for me. Like they were top notch. The framing of like the axe just kind of like floating
it
there.
just slowly come into frame.
It was
Yeah,
so
that was
good.
pretty
That
good.
was
I
so
enjoyed
good.
it so
Simple,
much.
but so good.
I bought. Yeah.
You bought
Did you
Stormbreaker?
really? Do you have it here?
No, I don't. It's on back order, but I found someone that makes it, so
I want
I'm
it.
gonna have
It's
one
nice.
just flying around. Real quick though, and this is probably my own fault, but what happens to the hammer at the end? Is it actually destroyed, or is it left
No.
in
No.
eternity?
So he adopts.
That's right. She
Christian
has
Bale-
it.
Gore's
That's right. Yep.
daughter, and they have it together in their love and thunder. That's
Yeah, that's the
The name of
whole
the movie.
title.
yeah.
That's the name of the movie.
The name.
And
That's
she's
right. I
drawn. She
completely
drew
forgot
all
she
over
had
the
it.
hammer. Remember, she like drew all.
Yeah, shoot,
Right.
like a smiley face or something.
Which, by the way, fun fact: the actress that plays Gore's daughter is Chris Hemsworth's daughter, India.
There was a lot
Oh,
of
is it?
cameos from
Wait,
their kids.
what?
Actually,
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Yeah,
she
that's-
looks really familiar. Has she been in anything else?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure. Maybe I know
I
both.
forgot
I
to
know
look.
Hemsworth is obviously an actor, and then his wife is also an actress. So, but he also said
His wife is
so
actually his wife has a cameo too. She's
in the movie.
in the movie in the beginning when he's kissing the female character on the wolf. That's his wife.
Oh,
That's his
the,
wife.
the wolf lady on the lady wolf.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
Christian Bale's kids were in it. Taika's kids were in it as well.
Natalie Portman's kids.
Natalie
yeah,
Portman's
they just brought
kids,
all their
yeah.
kids, like, because I had all those kids, right? So we're
Yeah.
like, pop our own kids in.
Yeah, let's put our kids in cages.
Let's make our kids canon.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, but also let's give them a big badass fight scene
that was
that I
cool.
thought of when you talked about
That's
Gen
hilarious.
Z and them. Like that's the scene. I was like, oh, this. Why don't we let kids fight their battles more? Like they've got power, and they're gonna have to step up in the new world as it burns.
I also love that like Thor randomly has this like ability, which could have come in handy many times.
Many times.
Well, I mean, a lot of people have pointed out of like the way that they could have defeated Thanos was just to find eternity in the first place, and
Or
wish
Thanos
everyone back.
Thanos could have just gone to Eternity and be like, "Hi there, you're this really creepy." By the way, I thought the visual look of Eternity was really
Pretty cool.
really cool, and it scared
Yeah.
the hell out of me because I kept
It was
looking at it.
Anyone else feel
disturbing.
like it was Watcher-esque from What If a little
A
bit?
little bit, yeah.
I do now.
But you
now
do,
that
you know, you
mentioned
did
it.
see a Watcher in the hallway leading up to the portal or whatever.
You also saw Celestials.
There's a statue. You also saw 2 Celestials were guarding
Impotent City.
Impotent City.
Oh, we should also talk about the other amazing performance in this movie.
Russell
and that's
Crowe.
Russell Crowe's Zeus.
Yeah, biggest
That
asshole
accent,
ever.
man. I couldn't get over that accent. I was like,
The
what
accent
is
was
this?
hilarious.
No, I was like, oh, this
God.
is so cringy.
I want to
Me-
see. I
Yeah.
want to like they just let him go. They let Russell Crowe and Christian Bale
Yeah.
go. That's literally what they're just like go. No.
But one nailed it and one didn't.
Oh, I think they
Russell
both
Crowe
nailed it.
I mean,
think
I
they
don't know.
both
I don't know.
nailed
I
it.
think Christian
Absolutely
Bale. I
nailed
mean, Russell Crowe. I think they didn't. I think they let him go too far. Like, also, it makes me upset. Like, I'm
needed a little bit more
It
direction.
makes me upset because like Russell Crowe, you know, he was the Gladiator. He was in a beautiful. Like, he's done really.
He's a great actor.
Academy Award-winning performances, and then this it's like okay,
He was Zeus. He was incredible.
It was amazing to me. I thought it was great.
The accent was incredible.
Also, his son Hercules, or
Yeah,
no, is that
yeah.
his son? Or
Roy Kent.
well, yeah, Roy Kent, fucking Roy Kent.
Boy, Kent.
he's there. He's
Ted
here,
Lasso's
he's every
invading the
fucking
MCU.
way.
You had what's his name in the Spider-Man No Way Home after credit scene, Football is Life guy, and then you have Roy Kent now.
I mean, they are pretty big actors outside of Ted Lasso.
Oh man, Ted
They weren't
Lasso
though.
like,
Like,
comes
they,
in.
all
as
like,
the
they,
next
they weren't
villain.
huge before Ted Lasso, but now they are.
Yeah. I mean that
Now they're in the
after
getting MCU money.
the Thor after credit scene was, bleh. It was whatever. I don't.
Which
Well,
one?
speaking of like Marvel Phase 4, like the after credit thing has been to like introduce big actor into role, right? This is the
Yes.
third one
Yep.
we've had because you had Charlize Theron in Doctor Strange, you had Harry Styles in Eternals, and now you have Roy Kent in Thor. So,
Are these
I
lasting
guess
castings?
I guess technically also you could throw in Black Widow because that was the first filmed appearance of Julia Louis-Dreyfus as that character. Like that was supposed to be her first appearance, not Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
So I would argue like you've
As
got
Val.
you have both super like movie like MCU fatigue, but then you've also just got this insane. I'm gonna say it's gonna sound really mean, but like
Cameo backlog.
you like C-lister comic book characters. They're not main
Yeah.
like I know like Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, they were not a mainstream comic, right? They were very kind of low key. But these characters that they're introducing, I would argue, are like if Guardians of the Galaxy were the B-listers or the C-listers of the comic world, these characters they're introducing are like the D's, the E's, the F's, like.
But that's why they're getting
Wow.
big actors or like really recognizable stars to fill these shoes to like make these characters more interesting. Versus
It's
like
just too many though. It's
you didn't
just
have
so
to
many.
necessarily do that with the big name characters. But they're kind of out of like the big name. I mean, besides the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, which we all know are coming, and they keep telling us in these movies that they're coming. They're not
They're
here
not
yet,
hiding
but
yet.
they're coming. You know, you really don't have many like big name superhero stars to still cast. Like, so you have to now like scrape the bottom of the barrel a little
Tom
bit.
Hanks.
You gotta-
When do you think it's gonna happen?
Yeah, Tom
where,
Hanks. He's
where
next.
where they are the MCU is just too big. They've used so many actors and actresses. And,
It's already too big.
and
you
they've
can argue.
they've decided, hey, we should get TikTok stars to become
That's an easy
to
answer.
become fucking part of the MCU.
Ninja is.
Yeah, they get like Twitch stars. Like they get
Well, I mean, they've already started double casting, right?
Markiplier.
So like,
Yeah.
Mahershala played Cottonmouth in Luke Cage, and he's playing Blade. What's her name? Michelle Yeoh played a character in the Guardians 2 after credit scene, and then played Shang-Chi's aunt in Shang-Chi. So they're already starting to like double
Double
cast,
up.
double up actors.
Hulk
so
has had
it's-
3 actors.
Well, that's just
Well,
his
two
Hulk
in
is so
the-
big
yeah.
and whatnot. All right, guys, let's end the conversations here on Thor with the big question here. I'll kick it off as always because I am the wisest. So Arjuna will go last. So Krishna, was Thor: Love and Thunder good?
Yeah, it was good. I had a good time. It was fun. I don't understand most of the backlash. It's not as good as Thor Ragnarok.
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 Ragnarok, yeah.
Hey, you want your
Ragnarok.
coffee? You want your donut and
Yeah.
your coffee? You from Worcester?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a good time and it was fun. Arjuna, was Thor Love and Thunder good?
It was good. I think I actually enjoyed it because it felt like a smaller Marvel movie. It didn't. I mean, even though it was dealing with like God and God butchery, it didn't feel like it was too over the top and like try to cram in too many things or ideas in the movie. You know, like it. I was a little worried when it's like an hour 50 something. I was like, how much are they going to try and cram into this movie? But it didn't feel like it was too loaded. Like it felt like a nice kind of intimate story that was good and enjoyable. Ravi, was TLAT good? Tlat.
Wow, that's wow. It was good. I think the thing that makes it really interesting is we get a nice closing on Jane and Thor's relationship, and at the same time, we also get to see a new version of Thor. Now he gets to be a parent, and you kind of
Daddy Thor.
Now you get to kind of see what that looks like and how he can hopefully change a little bit. The one criticism thing that I saw, and I kind of agree with it to a degree, but I think the movie has kind of wrapped that, which was all 4 Thor movies, he is constantly trying to figure out who he is. Since the first one, he's got to like figure out who he is, so he gets the hammer. The second one, he's got to figure out who he is without his mom. The third one, he's got to figure out who he is without his dad. And this whole thing, his sister. The fourth one, he's got to figure out who he is without like a partner
Anyone.
or whatever. And now, I think because he's got a kid, I think hopefully, I hope I'm not going to eat my words here. I hope, if there's going to be a Thor 5, I hope it's not like, well, I got to figure out who I am as a parent. Like, I do hope
That's exactly
we
what's
kind of
gonna
move
be.
it a little bit. But
Real quick, I obviously we've wrapped it, but we didn't even bring this up. What did you guys think of the Guardian stuff at the front of the movie?
Oh, I thought it was basically hilarious. It was almost like the Russo brothers were like, we get to decide to a degree where everyone is at the end of Endgame. We're going to force the Guardians on Taika. And then Taika looked at it and was like, nah. And then got rid of them within 5 minutes.
Very
soon as
quickly,
possible.
yeah.
Was that all
Also,
Taika's writing, or did Gunn get any say in that? Do we know?
I would think he got, at the end of the day, like Feige says what's what, right?
Well, I think Gunn was at least on Infinity War and Endgame was an EP and had insight and direction into the Guardians' path within those movies, like with Gamora's death and where they ended. So I would imagine if he was involved in that, he was at least given like a heads up or something with this movie in terms of where they're going. And then I think Taika and Gunn have been in the same room together before, so I would imagine imagine they at least had a conversation of like, well, where's your movie going? Where's this movie going? To at least kind of connect the dots. I will say also real quick, the Dwayne the Rock joke at the end of the movie was
That was great.
I didn't catch that joke, but yeah, I felt like the Guardian stuff was a way for Gunn to get where he wanted to start. It was like, I don't want Thor in my movie, so let's get him out.
yeah.
But yeah, what was the Rock thing?
So at the very
So
end,
Korg is a narrator, and he's like, and I found love too with Dwayne.
and
I just thought Dwayne was a funny name. I was like,
Dwayne The
his
Rock?
name is Dwayne, and he's got a mustache.
No,
But
Dwayne
Dwayne
the
The Rock.
Dwayne The
Yeah.
Rock.
Dang
Nice.
it,
It's great.
Johnson.
And then the question I have for you guys is, we all liked this movie, so where would you put it with the other Phase 4 movies?
Man, it's hard because I have so much MCU fatigue. I can't remember everything.
So
Yeah.
there's been 6 movies, I think. It's Black Widow,
Yep.
Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh, this is probably, I think, number 3 or 4.
Whoa.
I still think No Way Home is top for me. Shang-Chi. Surprisingly, Eternals. Wow. Wait, what were the other movies?
Black
Yeah.
Widow.
Oh, yeah. So Black Widow's all the way at the bottom. Then Doctor
Strange.
Strange, because that just depressed me when I think about it. Thor 4. Yeah, then Thor 4, and then Eternals. I'll say Eternals is... I rank Eternals higher, even though the story, for the most part, was a little all over the place and incoherent or whatever. I still think it was different enough that it's more memorable than like a Doctor Strange, than a Black Widow, and then a Thor.
Interesting.
Wow.
Christian?
I'd put it second.
Whoa.
I agree. I think Spider-Man's number 1, and then, but it's hard to rank because we're only halfway through, and also I feel like if you ask me tomorrow, my rankings would be different. So it's very fluid. But as of right now, it's second. But Spider-Man, I think, is a clear number 1.
Yes.
Hey, Spider-Man.
Where's he ranked for you,
Wow.
Arjun? Is it number
I think
1?
third. I think Spider-Man's 1 for me, and then I put Shang-Chi 2, and then I put this third.
Why are you copying
think
my
I put-
first 2?
those are my 2 favorite. And then I should put Black Widow 4th.
Whoa.
What?
That's
Why?
Then
What's wrong
then
with you?
Doctor
Because
Strange.
they didn't try to kill him.
Yeah. Fair.
Thank you,
That's
Mike.
Fair point.
That is fair.
Fair.
Eternals has to go last, just off of principle.
Yeah.
Try to kill you.
No, that's more than fair.
Damn.
It gave you vertigo for like 2 months, right?
Yeah, at least a month.
Or something weird.
That's crazy. Can anyone say that an MCU film put them in the hospital?
That's going to be my fun fact at a dinner party.
Yeah, actually,
Like you
like,
two truths and a lie.
no, even better yet. Like, whenever you do, like, I don't know if you guys do this at like work, but like sometimes, like, especially like when there's a new team member that joins, they'll like, introduce yourself. That should be your like when you're like meeting a new
Fun
coworker
fact.
or whatever. Yeah, MCU movie put me in the hospital. Just leave it
Yes,
at that.
and then have them guess which one.
Yeah.
That and that.
You can just be like, give them like the year and then see, if they can figure it out.
The year was 2021.
Watch somebody gets it
was
like on
never
the
the
first
same.
one, and it's like an actually common problem. Just nobody talks about it.
Oh, wow.
All right, last big thing that we
Well, there's 2 more.
there's two more big things actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
Two non-related MCU things, but they are big, massive franchises. We'll start with everyone's favorite, The Boys, because
The Boys.
there's another Butcher in that show called Butcher.
Oh yeah.
See what I did
I'm
there?
the butcher.
I connected it. And he's
Good.
British too.
Well
And he's
transitioned.
also-
No,
Australian.
He's from New Zealand.
He also has a funny accent.
New Zealand?
Yes.
Carl Urban?
He's New Zealand?
Kiwi.
Oh, I did not know that.
I thought he was Australian.
You know he was in the
No.
Xena
I
Warrior
just thought he
Similar
was
Princess.
accents, but
British.
different.
Did you guys know that?
He's in what?
He's Carl Urban was in a couple episodes of Xena Warrior Princess.
Oh, I
That
didn't
was
know
his
that.
first big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, he was also
Yeah,
in
the
Lord of the
movies.
Rings
That's
as
what I-
that.
that's
as
what I
that-
know.
Star Trek.
He's also in
He's
Star
in-
Trek.
Yeah, he plays
He's
a
also
little-known
Dredd.
character,
He was
Dr.
also
McCoy.
in Thor Ragnarok.
He was also in Thor. Yeah,
And
for him.
Judge Dredd.
and he was
That's
was
right.
Judge.
Yeah.
He's done a lot. Holy shit.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a great
He's
a great
great.
actor. I mean, he's a great actor. He's done a really good job, I think, with playing Butcher in The Boys. We've seen kind of his character obviously change a lot from season 1 to season 3. I think the big one is that he finally recognizes, oh my God, Huey as his like little brother. So
His brother.
His brother.
he also likes to take drugs. So that's cool.
Well, that's pretty consistent, right?
Yeah, I mean he used to drink a lot. Now he takes V a lot.
Temporary.
Not for much longer.
Yeah, so he
Spoiler alert.
So season 4 is going to be the last season, I believe, for the show.
I don't think that's confirmed.
Yes, that's not confirmed.
Wait, do you know something, Ravi? Why are
I
you
don't
sweating?
I'm not
I
sweating.
haven't watched past episode 3, so all of this is
Oh.
news to me.
Ooh.
Like,
I
was a
think
good
I
rhyme.
think they're so far off of the source material at this point. I mean, they're following the general arcs, but it's so different that they could go longer. Though I do think they're gonna do the final arc similarly.
I didn't.
But I
realize
think it would be at least. I think it would be at least 2 more seasons.
there was a
Would
source
you guys-
material.
Yeah, there's the original Boys,
comic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about the spin-off?
Yes, Jen.
The
College? no, it's
There are
like
three different
it's
things.
Like, yeah. It's like the college version of this in the superhero world.
Yeah, it's the
V.
superhero like high school or college.
Yeah,
or
and I
whatever.
think
I
they
think
announced
it's college,
the official title is called Gen V.
That's right, Gen V.
Gen V.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, the generation that's going to grow up with access to Compound V.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
I also think this is like Amazon's biggest cash cow at this point, so I
Yeah.
feel like they're in no rush
They
for
have
this
to.
show to end.
Right.
Did any of you guys watch the spin-off, the animated like shorts that they had, Diabolical? That one's
I
actually
haven't.
pretty
It's
good.
on my list next.
There, I would highly recommend it because there's an episode specifically around Homelander and Noir, which especially after going through this season and seeing Noir's character, having that context helps quite a bit actually. Especially kind of thinking back to it now with Noir and how he sees the world through the animated characters. It's quite interesting actually. It's a nice connection. So.
Yeah. The
Nice.
Noir arc was incredible this season.
Well, also the big reveal, and it sucks because our producer Lumen hasn't finished. So I'm going to try and stay away from the big spoiler.
The big R.
The big reveal.
Yeah, I forgot we were going to talk about it. But also, I don't love the show that much.
Oh, so then can we wrote it for you?
I honestly, you can do whatever you want. If you don't want to, that's fine. But
Well, I think I'll say this: the big thing for me wasn't the probably big reveal for you guys. What I loved the most about the show, because I think Junior, you texted and were like, "Oh, did you like the finale?" and you were surprised by my answer being yes. Because I think you thought that I was going to criticize the end fight sequence and how, in theory, it was poorly done, a little bit lazy in terms of like how it was actually done, where all of a sudden Homelander, is now going after, oh my God, what is his character's name?
Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy, going after Soldier Boy and all that fun stuff. But how it ends, where Homelander loses his cool and basically zaps somebody, quote, on the left, right, who's against what he's doing in front of like right-wing protesters.
Yeah.
Like that to me sums up like perfectly this season, what's happening with the world currently, and excites me for what's going to happen in season 4. It also scares me a little bit because, this season of The Boys I think was interesting because roughly halfway through the season, the subreddit for The Boys kind of went apeshit, where a bunch of people started complaining that the show was too political. And I guess a lot of people didn't realize that the show does have like political satire in it and found it to be upsetting and offensive and all this other stuff. And the subreddit almost got closed off completely because people were spamming it saying that, the show was portraying members of the right-wing political views in America and weren't showcasing them appropriately and blah, blah, blah. And then you get that final scene where it's like, there are some people that are insane and want to do that terrible thing. So, yeah. It's both really good and very, very, very scary.
Disturbing.
Very
for sure.
disturbing.
I think that's definitely that is definitely the strength of the show. Somehow it walks this line of being disturbing, hilarious, poignant, relevant, all at the same time. Quick backstory. I watched the first season of The Boys. I enjoyed it, but, I didn't love it. And I had tried to watch the first episode of season 2 about 4 times and just couldn't get through it. And then Jude and Ravi finally were able to convince me, like, just do it. Just get through season 2 so you can get to season 3. And
Yeah.
after you get through the first episode of season 2 just keeps going.
Yeah.
Like, it was really good. And then season 3 was like a really good continuation of that. I'm shocked that I like the show, to be honest. Like,
Is that because it's so violent or because it's so political?
No.
Or?
Yeah,
It's so on the nose. Like, it's what it's to satirize.
Yeah, it is so on the nose, and also like you see that the stuff that they deal with every day, so it's like you kind of want to escape from it, like or not deal with it. But like I think the show being so over the top, so ridiculous, and darkly funny, I think really helps you get through that stuff. It's just good, entertaining show. I mean, at the end of the day, that's just what it is.
Yeah, I thought this was the strongest season, by far, and I enjoyed the first 2 seasons. And I think like I ended up rewatching season 1 and watching season 2 for the first time leading up to this 3rd season, and I liked it. I liked it more. I liked the first season more than when I watched it a few years back, and I was like, "Wow, that's interesting." I feel like that doesn't happen for me a ton, where like I like something more a second time. I always feel like maybe because I'm an asshole, I like nitpick more when I watch something a second time. And I was like, no, I actually like this more, which is maybe it's just like the state of the world and like my perspective have changed for whatever reason. But I thought the season was like super, super strong, and like every episode I was kind of hooked and in. And the finale was like my least favorite episode of the season. In a lot of ways, because not because it was a bad episode, but because I thought the rest of the season was so strong. It was just kind of like I feel like The Boys in a lot of ways is starting to become what it makes fun of, in terms of just like the big superhero type of tropes and whatnot. And it kind of fell into that with this kind of big battle at the end. And I thought just like some of the arcs, like with Noir specifically, they kind of built it up. And they got rid of him very quickly in an unceremonious way, which was a little disappointing. And, the battle itself, like, didn't end up actually being Homelander versus Soldier Boy. It was Soldier Boy versus Butcher and Homelander versus Maeve, which was, like, still good and entertaining, but not necessarily, like, what we had been building up towards. And I thought it was a little cute. And the thing that I thought was actually going to piss Ravi off the most was it seems like Maeve makes this ultimate sacrifice and dies in this explosion with Soldier Boy. And then like literally 3 seconds later,
kidding.
Maeve is alive, Soldier Boy is alive. Like no one actually died.
Yeah.
And so I thought Ravi was gonna come on here and get on a soapbox and be like, there are no consequences.
But that's the thing. If the show didn't end with that sequence where Homelander attacks, an innocent protester, if it didn't end with that, I would be here on my soapbox. But because, I think it's more horrific that he did that. It's more horrific that that the stepfather is there and smiling and is okay with it. Like that stuff is more horrifying and more real and feels better than if Maeve, ended or died or whatever. I think keeping Maeve around is actually a good thing because chance and my bold prediction for like season 4, she's gonna die in season 4. Homelander's gonna kill her, and it will feel worse. I think like because
she has no powers.
Because she has no power. She's helpless.
She's powerless.
Unless they go complete 180 and do what they did with Frenchie's companion, where she retakes the V to get her power back. I mean, if they do that, I'll be really annoyed because it's like, come on, just either have the character stay hidden forever, or just have her end. I also think like the other thing, speaking about Maeve, is like the character of Ashley, who's now the CEO, who's balding. I think what she does, where she basically helps protect Maeve, I think her journey as a character and her arc is definitely interesting as well. I wonder if she's gonna end up being the thing that like surprise attack or kill Homelander or something. Like I think she's gonna play a pretty big role in like either taking Homelander down or attempting to take him down.
So yeah, I mean, A-Train and the Deep, they keep. I feel like they've got to also be involved with taking Homelander down because, they're kind of his two lackeys, right? And they keep getting opportunities to redeem themselves, and they keep completely falling on their faces as Homelander progressively gets worse and worse and worse, and they still, they still are following him, but you kind of get the impression at the end of this season, right? They're looking at him now and are like, wow, he is really losing it. So I'd imagine they'd also be in that Ashley bucket, right? Of potentially having to help take down the thing that they've propped up for so long.
Well, A-Train also has his powers back, right? He's got a
new heart.
He's good to go. He's good to
Good to
roll.
go.
So-
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks that his brother had to, become paralyzed, waist down in order for that to whole thing happen.
Oh my goodness.
And it's interesting that A-Train did try to do something, redeemable. He did try to, identify an issue. And actually, that's where the backlash in the boys subreddit came from, was the fact that the show was talking about, police brutality in black communities. That's what the people on the right were like, oh, why do they have to talk about real events and make this so... That's what people were upset about. So I thought that was interesting.
Wow. So they missed the rest of the show.
Yep.
Yeah,
Idiots.
The whole correlation.
What bold predictions though do you guys have for? Well, actually, let's look at our bold predictions. Did we make any? No, we didn't make any previously.
I don't think we made it.
No, we did. But obviously, my bold prediction for season 4, I think, like I said, Maeve is gonna finally be taken out by Homelander, and then my real bold prediction.
That wasn't a real one?
No. My real bold prediction is the government is going to get more involved and reveal that they have some off-planet alien, and that's actually the source of all the V. That's the source of the V that actually they pull from, and that alien is what's going to be used to take down Homelander.
So it's like Watchmen-esque.
Kind of, yeah. They basically
Except a real alien.
Yeah, they're just gonna copy Watchmen essentially.
Nice. Ozymandias comes out and summons an alien.
Exactly. What are your bold predictions?
I don't know if I really have a bold prediction.
My bold prediction is Krishna will struggle to come up with a bold prediction. That's universal for all future bold predictions.
What? Well, that's a terrible bold prediction. Sometimes they just come to you,
I can go if you need time.
Yeah. Go. Maybe we'll spark something.
Yeah, so for me, my bold prediction is Soldier Boy will not return to season 4, and he'll be kept on ice.
I don't know. He was a fan favorite, though.
Yeah,
I mean, he was great. No, Jensen Ackles, pretty most famous in our circle is voicing the Red Hood in the animated Batman movies. Did a really great job. But I also feel like the reason they put him on ice is because they don't have a contract with him. So they were like...
So wait, they don't kill the character. They just put him on ice. Okay.
I thought he was
So they
already
could
dead,
negotiate
though. Didn't he die back in the day from that super weapon?
Remember, you haven't watched this season.
Yeah, I know.
So
I'm kidding.
He lives.
it's been spoiled
I
for
think
you.
I have my bold prediction.
Let's hear it.
Good job, Juno. You sparked something. I think Butcher will end up killing Homelander's son.
Ooh.
Brian,
Then
wow.
Then I think Homelander kills Butcher. And then I think that leads to the boys killing Homelander. So I think the show will end with Butcher, Homelander, and Homelander's son all dead.
Damn.
Do you think that will happen in the next season?
Yeah, this is a season 4 prediction, not a.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think season 4 is the final season, and that's my prediction. That's how the show ends.
I have a second
Done.
bold prediction now. My real bold prediction.
Christian is wrong.
That mine is wrong.
No.
That's cheating.
Butcher will cheat death and not die of cancer within 6 months.
Wait, Butcher has cancer?
Oh yeah. he's
Yes,
got
that's
cancer
how the show ends. From taking temp
From
V,
all
he
the
has
V.
now,
From taking
like,
too much temp V.
temp
Well,
V,
it's
he
not.
has
Is
cancer.
it cancer or his brain's turned to mush?
Yeah, I don't know if
Oh.
it's cancer, but it's terminal.
It's some mix. He's terminally ill. He's
terminal.
going to die in 6 months.
No, he
I thought it was
won't.
a year. I thought it was a year.
Well, that
So
gives
it's
him
six
reason
to
to
a year.
become the real bad guy. Maybe Homelander will have a redemption arc in episode 4.
Well, I mean, you can argue that Butcher was partially the bad guy this season because he released Soldier Boy on the world, knowing that if Soldier Boy and Homelander fight each other, there's a lot of casualties.
Yeah,
that
Butcher did some pretty
occur.
awful
Yeah.
stuff this
Yeah.
season.
he
what I
always
really
Even within his own team.
What I liked about this season is they really continued to play
blur
into
those
like
lines.
Homelander and Butcher are the same.
person.
Are the same. Like they're not. They're not, any
as
different.
They are different, but they're not that different.
They both believe
they're more similar than different. Yeah.
I mean, I think my problem with the show is nobody makes good decisions. Not even the supposed good guys. There's nobody to root for. I don't like anybody, and they all make terrible, terrible decisions.
It's very true.
And that's fair.
There's
also
there's no lies in that statement.
That also feels very true to life, to be honest. But yeah, you are right.
Christian, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the big question?
Oh, okay. Baby Yoda was Ravi, was The Boys season 3 good?
It was fantastic. We actually didn't talk about this. My only complaint was that Herogasm, the episode that social media built up as this god awful thing that will burn your eyes, wasn't that bad, and maybe that's because I'm so desensitized. I don't know.
The penis scene in episode 1 was worse.
That was way worse. Yeah. How the show started with the penis was worse to me than the fucking Herogasm show episode. But whatever. Arjuna was The Boys season 3, the story of Butcher, the non-god Butcher, good.
It was, and it was the best of the show. I'm excited for where it's going. Krishna, was The Boys season 3 good?
Yeah, it was good. I'm surprised I even watched it. Good job, you guys, for convincing me. Round of applause all around. And yeah, I will tune in for season 4. The end.
Beautiful. We're gonna do kind of a speed round, I think, for Stranger Things season 4, volume 2.
Yes, it was good. Okay, we're done.
Well, actually, I was thinking what we could do for Stranger Things season 4. I mean, Chris, you've kind of ruined it because I wanted to talk about the qualifiers a little bit that we had set from our previous podcast. So we obviously reviewed.
Mine was in.
We obviously reviewed Stranger Things season 4, volume 1, and we had set qualifiers to basically determine like what things will make us dislike the show. Krishna jumped the gun as per normal, and jumped in and said that he really liked season 4, volume 2. But Krishna's qualifier was
it met my qualifier.
Skipping
if I remember
the intro.
correctly.
Yeah, skip the intro song.
Yeah, it didn't do that, so therefore it is good. That's how this works, right?
Well, what about I'm going to try and convince you that it was bad. What about the fact that they got they killed Eddie?
That makes it better.
Even after that amazing guitar solo?
Unlike The Boys, it had consequences. And you're absolutely right. I'm devastated that we lost Eddie, because Eddie gave us maybe the most badass scene in all of Stranger Things. Playing a Metallica song, as hell is closing in on him. Like, amazing.
Real quick, the actor actually learned to play that solo for real in order to make it, amazing.
To make it look good, but the fact that they got rid of him, I'm like, put it this way: there's one more season to go. Therefore, people need to start dropping, and it's unfortunate that it was Eddie, but it wasn't Steve, right? And Steve would have been the one that would have been absolutely devastating. So Eddie is a good compromise.
Well, so I'm going to push back a little bit on that, because you said that, unlike The Boys, there needs to be actual, stakes.
No,
because people love steak. It's delicious.
It doesn't need that. It doesn't need to have consequences, but it does, and that makes it better.
And I'll even preface this that I said my qualifier was if they killed Steve, I would have automatically said this season was bad, and I'm glad they didn't. But Stranger Things, though, does the thing where a new character is introduced and then they just kill them by the end. I don't know if that's real stakes. I would argue that's not real stakes. Real stakes would have been a Steve or one of the mains. I don't know why we're talking about food, but
well, because
you don't kill the side dish, you kill the main dish.
Because you can save those for the last season for the maximum emotional impact. You introduce a character that is a fan favorite, became beloved, and then kill him. Save your mains for the end when it hurts the most.
Why are we referring to these things as fucking dishes?
Eddie is the appetizer. So when Steve dies next season,
Okay, better.
he's the main course.
Better.
Yeah, yeah,
Wait, real quick. So if Eddie is an appetizer, what appetizer are you willing to like give up? At Thanksgiving, for example.
Eddie was the crab rangoon.
Whoa!
You know how much I love. You know how much I love crab rangoon.
That's the main.
That's how good. That's how good. Well, I mean, I treat crab rangoon like a main, but it's really an appetizer.
Then what is Steve?
And that's how good. I mean, Steve is
General So's?
Could be General Tso's, could be orange chicken. Take your pick, right?
yeah.
I am so hungry right now.
I know.
Jesus.
All of a sudden, I need some General.
Good thing I got some leftover Chinese food in my fridge.
Lucky
Yeah.
you.
Oh, where'd you get it from?
I'm gonna have to order some.
I'm gonna have to probably end
place
it
in-
when we're done
place
this pod.
here.
Order some Chinese food. I hate you, Christian.
That's a good idea. I'm going to get some as well.
Everyone order Chinese food and then take
And send pictures.
Yeah,
Send
but
pictures.
basically though,
Text.
send
I
a
like
pic,
that.
send a picture, and then name each dish or appetizer or character from Stranger Things,
There's the social clip right there.
and organize in which order you want them to disappear come season 5.
Yeah.
We did get a long-standing death, though. I mean, at least the relationship between Will's brother and Mike's sister is pretty much dead at this point, right? Even though they tried to pretend it's still okay at the end.
Oh, in terms
It's on
of
the rocks.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
in the best
I mean,
of places.
Who are we rooting for, Steve or Will's bro?
What's Will's bro's name? Does anyone remember?
Well,
No.
if Steve dies next season, which go ahead, chalk that up as my bold prediction, then I think Charlie Heaton and Natalie Dyer will still be together at the end.
Whoa, Mr. IMDb.
I forget their characters' names, which is really sad.
I mean, that's so it's Jonathan.
Jonathan and Nancy.
Yeah, so you're
Nancy.
team Jonathan if
No.
Steve dies?
No. I'd rather Steve lives and you kill Jonathan.
Oh.
But maximum emotional impact dictates Steve has to die,
Wow.
in my opinion.
So so you're saying your bold prediction then is Steve is bye-bye.
Steve is the goner. Yeah.
Dang.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt so bad.
I'm writing down Steve is the goner.
Is nobody sad about Max?
Well, yeah, that's the other.
Max is essentially brain dead.
Yeah, she's definitely brain dead. I mean,
I mean that's really sad.
That's the darkness beyond that we saw at the end, yeah?
correct. I mean, at the
Yeah,
very end
she's
where
not there.
11 is trying to find her, yeah, she's not there. That I think is the visual indication that she's unfortunately brain dead.
But with the Henry
I will
guy,
say I will say this when she raced up into the air and like her limbs started to break in the episode, I was like, oh my god! I was like,
yeah.
That's consequences
They're
right
doing
there.
it.
yeah.
They
doing it.
really pushed the envelope in this season for.
And then like she's blind, like so even if she does wake
Yeah.
up, even if she isn't brain dead, she's gonna wake up and
She's a
be
cripple.
paralyzed
Yep.
and
Yeah.
blind.
Yeah, she
Maybe-
said she
tough.
can't feel or see anything that one time.
Yeah.
But they did
Yeah.
open the door, right, when they had 11 talk about how Mr. Doctor was sending her out to find Henry. Like, it seemed like they were saying that next season they will go and find Max and
Yeah.
bring her back.
Yeah, I assume she's gonna come back.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't. It would be weird if like they have that whole scene of her like saying no, she can't die, and then she's like alive, and then they're like, nah, she's dead.
Yeah, that would be kind of
Be
weird.
strange.
Weird.
So-
She's a
weird
vessel
arc.
for Vecna.
She's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe
we
she
still have to
becomes the
figure
new
out
Vecna.
Will's connection to Vecna is still something that has to be mined for the 5th season because
Yeah.
there's still. I mean, now that we know Vecna has kind of been this big bad all along,
It was Vecna all along.
we have to figure out like what the connection to Will, right? Like he still feels him. He was the one that was chosen. The Upside Down is stuck in the moment of time of when Will was taken. So it's like, how is that all connected?
He's the final gate.
Yeah,
He's the-
maybe.
he's Vecna's trump card, right? Like,
Right.
If Vecna's going to possess anyone in the real world, it's got to be Will, or Will turns into a general of his, or like Michael said, he's a gate. He'll end up being a portal or some kind of.
So a lot of people.
talisman.
So a lot of people using like D&D lore have talked about there's only one creature in D&D stronger than Vecna.
Oh, the dragon.
And that's the red dragon that's in the picture that he made, right? The 3-headed red dragon.
Wait, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah.
the only. What about the Tarask?
But I mean, I don't know what version of D&D
I'm not
they're
that
going,
much of a nerd,
going
so
off
I
of.
don't know.
But
I'm wearing
I
a
think
He-Man shirt.
if that is all true, right? That's more of a coincidence that like that's the creature that he drew in the picture. And
Well,
Will's the one
I
that
wonder
drew it
though
and
with
everything.
Will's relationship with
Mike.
Mike and everything. Again, I don't.
Mike.
I think that's
God
going to
damn
be important because it was obviously
Yeah.
discussed or it was showcased a little bit in this season with Will kind of going through and trying to figure those emotions and those things out. Obviously, he doesn't flat out just say to Mike whatever, but I wonder if Vecna will use that conflict within him, maybe that jealousy that potentially Mike has, towards 11 and Mike's,
Or Will has.
well, yeah, Will's jealousy against that might be a big piece come season 5.
Was that?
I think
about
so
the
because
brothers?
like Mike is the one that was able to help 11, right? He was the quote unquote heart.
Yeah.
At the end, who talked to her and kind of got her through to like defeat Vecna at the end, and then obviously Will's feelings towards Mike, right, like you said, could be potentially turned. So I think that trio in particular will be very important for the final season and will be like Vecna's way of potentially sowing, discontent among the main characters.
So if we're talking D&D though, real quick, I gotta say Vecna's a lich, and a lich has a phylactery, and a phylactery is an object in, say, for instance, like the Tomb of Horrors. The Tomb of Horrors is designed to murder adventurers who go and get it, and then the phylactery sucks in their souls, and then as long as the phylactery exists and can consume those souls, the lich is able to rebuild itself even though it's dead. So there theoretically should be a phylactery, an object that Vecna's soul is tied to,
Oh,
that
this
they
is
would
like,
have to destroy in
like
order to kill
Voldemort.
him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like Voldemort is like like a lich type. Now they typically only have 1 instead of 7, and they're not called Horcruxes.
So then I think you hit the nail on the head. Then I think it's gonna be Will.
yeah, I'm kind of wondering if it's Will or somebody like that.
Yeah, because Will spent a lot
so you
of
gotta
time,
kill-
right,
you gotta
in
kill
the Upside
Will?
Down. Yeah.
You
gotta
gotta kill
Will.
to stop Vecna permanently.
Well, there's your real stakes right there. Probably medium
Damn.
rare.
There's the main.
medium red. Baby.
Medium rare steak. I mean, that's probably really rare, actually. Anyway, let's get back to qualifiers real quick. Arjuna, you had said a qualifier for you was introduction of a bunch of new characters. We, unfortunately, did not get any new characters. Or
Thank
fortunately.
God.
Fortunately, yeah. In the
Well, I
last
don't know.
2 episodes.
Demogorgon number 6 looked new to me.
Demogorgon.
He was the star of the show.
He was a great
really
CG.
Stole every scene.
thing.
That wasn't CG.
It was real. Yeah, they
practical.
really ripped
He
over
was
the
real.
Upside Down.
Yeah.
What are you
They
doing?
got a great actor. They got a great actor.
Does
That was
anyone
Benedict
think,
Cumberbatch in that suit.
the last death we haven't talked about is Brenner's death in the desert. Do we actually think he's dead?
Yes.
Absolutely. That was the perfect death for that kid.
Yeah, it makes sense to end him in this season, I think, so that you don't have too many things that you're trying to wrap up in the last one.
You don't want Matthew Modine just running around being like, "Hello, 11. I am
No,
the
I
doctor."
don't. I'm pretty over that doctor character. Like he could have died in season 1, and I would have been happy. So,
Same.
but yeah, it's
I
fine.
think
Well, I
He's
think he
fine.
was dead for a while.
It
They're
makes
like,
sense
"Let's bring him back."
It makes sense to bring him into this season to kind of bridge the gap between this almighty
Vecna.
bad and like give the backstory there. But to Christian's point,
Totally.
he served that purpose, and I think how they how they ended him, and how you saw that 11 kind of was over him essentially, like you're dead, cool, bye. I think that
See ya.
also helps with her character kind of grow and move on from that tragic part of her life.
The Duffer Brothers have talked a lot about the Stranger Things universe and building out spin-offs.
Please don't.
And but my bold prediction isn't going to be related to season 5. It's going to be related to the Stranger Things spin-off starring Matthew Modine, de-aged for a
No!
prequel series.
What's wrong with you?
Strange-ish
Give me
things.
more Matthew Modine.
No, we don't. God damn it.
I mean, Matthew Modine is the epitome of cool.
He's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm just so over that character. Like, please, no more Doc.
Christian, why do you think they made him more nuanced this season? To introduce him as a protagonist.
Oh yeah, he's
Listen,
so
man.
nuanced.
Listen, no, please.
I did
no.
enjoy him and
nuanced.
Paul Reiser's like
Yeah.
dichotomy
Dynamic.
occasionally, where he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, great job. We really did what not ominous at all."
We really messed up. Whoopsie. Let's look at our junior bowl predictions. There'll be a spin-off. Interesting.
With starring Matthew Modine.
starring
No.
de-aged Matthew.
De-aged Matthew Modine.
Let's actually look real quick before I give my bold predictions to kind of wrap that up. Let's look at the older bold predictions that we had. Christian, you said, quote, "Fuck it. Those bats did damage on Steve, who becomes a permanent foot soldier for Verona, eventually becoming BBG of season 5.
That was probably spell check on my part.
Yes, that's what I'm assuming.
Verona.
Verona.
She
Verona,
was the big
interesting.
bad all along.
My Verona.
Clearly, I was right.
You were wrong.
I was so wrong.
You were super wrong. I said 11 will kill an original. That did not happen. Well,
no OG.
could you argue that because
One.
of 11, I guess Max is not an original, so.
She's season
She
2.
came
She's
season 2. Yeah.
Never mind.
And she technically saved her. She would have actually been dead without 11.
Correct.
Isn't that's not what I said. So yeah, you're
That's what I'm
correct.
saying, yeah.
And then Arjun, you said upside down can be used to time travel. That
I
wasn't
nailed it.
it wasn't exactly we didn't get any of that actually, but again, we still don't have like a clear understanding of how time works between the upside down and with the real world when there are no portals. So we know when portals are open, it's free flow, right? There is no time difference between upside down and the real world, but when there are no portals, we don't know how time works. So
Yeah. I'm also curious, like, just for the very end, right? Like, the portals open briefly and then they close and you have these cracks. And then, like, 2 days later, now it's like the upside down is creeping in, right?
Yep.
So it's like, why? Why is it specifically, like, 2 days later? Is it just like a disease? It just took, like, 2 days to spread? Or did it, like, reopen or something? I guess we'll find that out, obviously, in season 5. But
I guess I didn't.
I think
get
there's,
that.
like... Yeah, I think there's just still a lot to explore with like the machinations of how the upside down still actually work and what it is.
the Maxinations.
the Maxinations.
The machinations
I mean,
of
I
it
guess
all.
I assumed that it opened. They got Max back, but that didn't close the portals, and so the portals never closed, and that's. But they did never show them after. Like the 2 days later, it never was like, here is the burning portal in the middle of downtown. Right. But they did have the
It's just
destruction.
Cracks
Yeah.
and
But-
then
but
the
the black-
clouds. Yeah,
the
the
black-
clouds are coming out.
And they had the vines on the building as they were driving by. The central building had the like
Black vines.
vines growing out
So
of it.
yeah, it's coming out, or it's terraforming. It's like a terraforming thing. That's what I looked at it
Oh
as.
yeah.
And also, like, the upside down is clearly, like, different in 78 or 79 when Vecna first goes in versus, like, when they go in now. So it's like, how did it become a mirror, right? Is it when Will entered for whatever reason? Like, why didn't that happen when one entered?
Well, the
that's a
way
good
I look
point.
at it
All that
is
other stuff.
when
It's
he-
interesting.
when one goes into the upside down and he comes across the, cloud spider monster spider creature thing. He, with the combination of the two of them, that cloud monster thing replicates what I thought like Vecna knew of Dawson. Like, for example, the main
Dawson?
not Dawson. Why I say Dawson?
Because of the creek.
Yeah, that's weird. I've never watched Dawson's Creek,
Hawkins,
so-
Indiana. Yeah, it's Hawkins.
Hawkins.
But see
Hawkins.
that would be true. But then when they go in, they say, like, specifically in Volume 1, right, when Nancy goes to the house to get guns and it's not there because it's stuck in the journal entry from the day Will went missing.
Right.
Right.
Like, why is it stuck there?
Because that's the day.
Specifically?
So I was wondering about this, and as you guys are talking, I think I figured it out. 11 opens it when she pushes one into it and
Mhm.
creates it. So they
Right.
create it together, and it's just a void space. Then there's time between that and when we start the series. And that time is he built his power on that end. She opens the door accidentally while she's poking around in the dark spaces, and that's when season 1 starts and Will goes in. And I think you're right, Chris or Arjuna, that it's Will going in the first season that creates the copy, and that's where we get the copy. But it did exist before. It just was
No, better. The
Voidless.
upside down creates what you need it to.
what Vecna
The
needs.
end.
That's it. I don't take that and
Yeah.
interpret it for whatever the fuck that
Whatever
means.
plot device you
Yeah,
need
whatever
it.
plot device is needed will be there. The upside down. Come by
as
some
we
houses.
as we learned with Will's birthday, the Duffers aren't the best with continuity.
I'm telling you, it's basically they have what I just said written on like a whiteboard somewhere and a bunch of question marks and some rough ideas, and that's it. And they're figuring it out whenever they start filming and Netflix digitally redoes things. That's how they're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, we got DLC.
Is this gonna be like
we
a
can
How I Met
update
Your
the
Mother
plot.
situation where they're like Robin has to be the
Yep.
one that
Yep.
like Ted falls in love with no matter
They're gonna
what?
write
right?
themselves. They're gonna write themselves into a trap, and
Oh my
then
God.
then it will come out that season 5's not the final season. Watch.
Is this gonna be an Attack on Titan? They're
No,
gonna
no. What
release
they'll do
season
is
five
find
over
be
four
No,
volumes.
Netflix will be like, for all you regular paying customers, season 5 is the end. But if you want to see season 6, we've got Netflix Plus.
Netflix premiere. Yeah, season 5,
goddamn it.
part 3.
Part 15.
no.
My bold prediction for season 5 is exactly what I just said.
15 parts.
There will be no season 5's not the finale, and Netflix is going to do some kind of weird pay plus DLC or whatever to continue the story and make people pay more. Watch. That's my theory.
That's a nightmare worse than The Boys.
Yeah, kind of, actually.
Damn.
And with that, let us ask the question. Juna, kick us off.
Ravi.
Yes.
Was Stranger Things season 4, volume 2 good?
It was good. My only complaint was I had to pause it and go to the bathroom a couple times because it was so
Sounds like
fucking
a
long.
you problem. Sounds like a you issue. Just saying.
I think
I
it's
can
funny.
hold my
I
pee
think
for
it's
3 days.
I think it's funny that they released, these last 2 episodes, and they're like an hour and a half and 2 hours and whatever, however long, right? They're very long, both of these episodes. But I don't think most people sat there the entire time. Most people probably paused and like took a break or came back or like watched half and then whatever. So it makes me wonder, like, why not just fucking come up with a logical point and just break it into episodes?
There are also a lot of points where they broke to black, where I was like, this is a great time to pause.
It's a great time to pause and go get some chicken.
So, I mean, potentially the reason it's only the 2 episodes is because the actors were contractually obligated only to, 9 episodes total this season? And so if they broke it into 10 or 11, they have to pay them extra or whatever. I don't
okay.
know.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know how
that makes sense.
contracts work.
Yeah. If it was 9 episodes, I feel like they have to honor that.
Yeah, right. And then if they're like, well, we made 10 and 11 because of all the stuff you built, then it's like, well, my contract says 9 episodes.
Now you're in a 4-hour episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's probably why they're just like, well, okay, it's a 17-hour episode.
Love it.
Krishna, what are we talking about? Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Season 4, Volume 2. Good.
Yes, it was great. It was great. There's really not much more to say than that. We've discussed it.
My goodness.
And,
I
think the next season is going to be awesome.
I thought my convincing, talking about Eddie was going to make you change your mind, but I guess my point wasn't enough.
No, you just reinforced how good it is. You did the opposite.
I don't know how active you guys are on TikTok, but Chrissy Wake Up has become a very popular TikTok song.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Arjuna, was season 4 of Stranger Things good for you?
Yes, it was good for me specifically.
Did
Made
you
me feel
like
good
that?
inside, having all those sides and those mains to eat.
Oh
Yummy,
God,
yummy.
I'm so hungry.
Rumble my tummy. Yeah, it was good. I thought the season as a whole really worked. Especially like what we thought of Stranger Things going in, of being like, it's been so long. Do people even care about this show? And for it not only to deliver, but like be very enjoyable, and I think reignite interest in the show, and then like how it's going to end. I thought it did really well.
Nice. It sounds like everything so far we've reviewed is good. So, even though we said this was
4 for 4.
even though we said this was a summer guide, and you would like look into a guide as something where there'd be some good, there's some bad. We only picked the best.
Well,
we only
easy,
picked
easy
the
way
best.
to do it. Easy way to do it. Rank the 4 things from best to worst. Go.
You can't. They're all great.
If I'm gonna rank them, I think Stranger Things was the best, followed by The Boys, followed by Miss Marvel. No, I'm gonna put Miss Marvel second, followed by The Boys, followed by Thor.
I'm gonna go with The Boys, Stranger Things, Miss Marvel, Thor.
Nice. I'm gonna go Miss Marvel, Stranger Things, The Boys, Thor.
Wow, so
Nice.
all really radically different, actually. It's kind of.
I think we all put Thor last.
yes.
And all wrong. All of you were wrong.
But you know what's interesting? It was like Thor, like the other pieces of content, they're TV shows. So they are, they are basically almost 10 or 7, 8 hour plus investments, while Thor is, less than 2 hour investment. So I think, if you want like a proper guide into like watching these things, maybe you actually like throw Thor like somewhere in the middle to kind of like help break it up so that you're not spending hours.
It's interesting, too, that your favorite picks were the TV shows that had more time. Would you say that automatically inclines something to be better these days?
Probably, because if the content is well done and makes, it's good, it's entertaining, you want more of it, right? As opposed to get me out of here as quick as possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said,
I think we'll all universally agree, at least this is our ranking, all 4 of those things, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I mean, we didn't even mention Obi-Wan Kenobi, so
Yeah.
We did many pods on Obi-Wan, so
we did.
and then Book of Boba. Book of Boba is even further down.
Yes, way down there. So don't like. I would say universally, like if you're looking for something cool and fun to watch this summer, don't bother with Obi-Wan Kenobi or Book of Boba. I mean, Book of Boba didn't technically come out in the summer, but still don't bother with it.
Skip
it.
it. Anyway.
Oh, Moon Knight. Moon Knight, I guess. Well, I don't know.
Moon Knight was
Moon Knight
early
ended in the
spring. It ended, but it started in the spring. But other things that I'm watching that I would highly recommend. Star Trek Strange New Worlds did wrap. There are 10 episodes. They're all 10 uniquely different episodes. The nice thing is once you've watched the first episode, you don't necessarily, I think, need to watch the others in order because they are kind of episodic. There is a common run-through, but at the same time, those common things, what's nice is, again, it's episodic. You can jump around, which is kind of cool.
It's classic Trek.
It sounds cool.
Classic Trek, yes.
I'm enjoying the first 2 episodes.
It's very, very cool, and Christian, you should watch it.
I have a staycation coming up, and it might be first on my list. I have to send you guys my list so you can rank what I should watch in order.
The other 2 shows I highly recommend, Hulu's original show Bear. It's about a chef who inherits a restaurant from his brother. It's a quick and easy watch. Each episode, the average runtime is anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. Most of the episodes are around that 30-minute mark. So it's an easy watch. I believe there's 8 episodes. Don't quote me. It's fun. It's different. Very good drama. Very good like dark comedy to a degree. Very stylized as well.
Does it make you hungry?
It does. So make sure you have snacks ready. And then the last one I would recommend is For All Mankind. We are roughly, I think we just wrapped up the 4th episode of a 10-episode season. It's so far really, really good. If you want to see alt history and what happens when America gets its act together and gets its ass into space. NASA in this timeline is profitable.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. That alone should make you be like, I want to watch this.
For-profit space exploration. Love it.
And the Elon Musk character in this show is amazing. So It's not actually Elon Musk, but he's like an Elon
Gotcha.
Musk
Yeah.
type character.
That's actually the most you've ever sold that show. Like now I'm actually interested
Oh,
in
nice.
it. Yeah.
NASA has profits. That's kind of amazing.
Took a
actually.
Elon Musk name drop.
And Elon Musk name drop.
Does Elon Musk have his own cologne and call it
Musk?
Musky Musk?
Musky Musk. No, but we should make that before he steals that idea and then sues us into oblivion. Christian, do you have any picks for the summer?
Yeah, I think just one. Shout out to Michael for recommending this. Critical Role, Exandria Calamity, which is just a four-part, basically Dungeons and Dragons campaign, all on YouTube.
So a Twitch
I
stream.
think it's also a podcast. It's about 20 hours.
Oh my God!
It's about 20 hours. It's 4 episodes, 20 hours. It is.
Wait, so each
you're
one's
watching-
5 hours?
It grows in
it's
length as you go.
4 to 6.
Wow.
And you're basically watching 7 professional actors act their hearts out and deliver really compelling, good story and action in a D&D format.
Do you
So
need
high
Do you
recommend
need
on
any backstory or any like previous knowledge of Critical Role in order to understand or enjoy it?
that. I think it would help, but it's not necessary.
20 hours of my life. I don't know if I could do that personally.
I'll just say it may be one of the greatest stories I've watched, and it's improvised mostly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's the part is that it's these guys reacting to things and then still creating this incredible story and performing. They're great performers as well. I think you're not going to see better improv anywhere, quite possibly. So, and that's it. That's
Wow.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Nice. Arjuna, what do you have for us?
I have 2 things. First one, Young Justice season 4 recently wrapped up. I think a few weeks ago. It takes a little bit to get into. They do like these season arcs, so you definitely have to like binge them in bites. It was hard to watch week to week, but final couple arcs are really, really good. It like all pays off. It's one of those shows that like you really have to invest the time to kind of get it to pay off, and it was really good. I hope there's more Young Justice, though. We'll see. And then the other one is a Netflix game show called The Floor is Lava. Season 2 recently came out. It's really fun. It's look, hear me out. It's a really fun, easy show to put on. It's just fun. There are these trios, and I actually think that we should apply and do it and try and be on a season. It wasn't good.
I have a lower back issue, so I'm out.
It would be fun.
If I get injured,
Wow.
do they pay my recovery fees?
Let me ask you
We
this actually,
have to
real
find out.
quick. How come some network hasn't, unless it already exists, hasn't created like an escape room show yet? Like an escape room reality show. That seems like easy entertainment and content.
I mean, that's essentially what the floor is lava. It kind of is. Like they're technically
Yeah.
escaping.
But
from a
I
room.
mean,
It's just more physical activity than like mystery.
yeah. I just want, having like watching teams of people try and break out of a professional escape room sound like it'd be pretty entertaining. Maybe not. Maybe it'd suck. But
I think it would be
My
fun,
other
but I-
recommendation is Love Island Series 8.
no.
the UK
No.
edition.
Okay. No.
Incredible drama.
Stop that.
Every single day.
Stop.
Daily content.
You stop it. You're poisoning.
Just
the
finished
ears of our
Casa
listeners.
Amor.
Is
Now
that
they're
No.
doing movie night.
Stop
Right,
it.
Island?
They're neighboring islands, Michael.
Oh my God.
Okay.
You can take a
It's like
ship from
Island
one to the other.
Nubler and
Wait,
yeah,
so you got
Psycho.
dinosaurs and
Jurassic
then,
Park, yeah.
then this? Wow. All right, I think that's going to do it for us here on this probably the longest podcast we've ever done to date. As always, you can find us on the internet if you really want to see and hear us more and read our thoughts. If you want to read our thoughts, follow us on Twitter at Was It Good. If you want to look at us, follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Was It Good Pod. And if you really want to get invested, look at our VODs and full shows on our youtube.com/wasitgood channel. Also follow us along on our website, wasitgood.info, for blog posts that make a really rare appearance, just like medium rare meat. Our next pod is going to be on Jordan Peele's newest thriller comedy thing called Nope. Till then, goodbye.
Goodbye.